Good morning. Today we're going to run through Unifier. We're going to use the version of Unifier that is referred to as the accelerator. So this is the version that Oracle has put more templating, more reports, more dashboards into. So it's sort of their more configured version, if you will, that they sell. And this can be either deployed on-premise or in the cloud. So you have both options for the accelerator. I'm Nicole Jardin. I'm joining actually from Montreal today, and I'll do a portion of the demo, and helping me and doing most of it will be Amy Paul. She's in Calgary, and she's going to show you, we're going to do a deep dive into the software so you can see how the tool works. Now, in construction, of course, we have challenges of making sure that the projects are done on time, on budget. Now, that's not just a construction thing. And this tool is not only designed for construction. It's really any sort of project could take advantage of this tool. But we have some common struggles that we go through. So first and foremost, if you're a company, like an owner type company that's doing a lot of projects, you want to make sure the projects are done consistently. If you're more in the engineering or construction side, you want to make sure that you're delivering the projects effectively and that you're working within the scope of what you're supposed to be doing. Because of course, if your scope grows, that's when costs grow. Schedule usually takes longer. So you've got to have that scope management in a system that's going to help make sure you can see the scope and know where you're at, how you're delivering. So consistent delivering is hugely important. That's the only way as a business you can deliver better, faster, and maybe with a little bit better profit margin. That's why we tend to specialize in construction. We tend to do specialty projects or have repeat type of projects. It's exactly for that reason. But you want to make sure you're documenting that so that you have a strong understanding of how to document the kind of work that you do, that you specialize in. Okay, what are the documents that you need? How do you make sure that they're getting addressed quickly? Okay, so for example, requests for information. We need to make sure they're getting responded to, that you're getting efficient answers. Otherwise, things will draw out on the project. So that's an important piece. So to make sure that we're in top of our scope, we have to have a good way of documenting any changes, proposed changes that may go forward, changes that are asked of you, maybe from the owner or engineering firm. You want to make sure you're documenting those because they usually have a cost impact, usually a positive cost impact, could be a reduction of scope. So you have to have a good way of handling that. And you need to make sure that your team is working on processes that work effectively from the very beginning of a project. So if you're an owner, that's in your estimating and conceptual stages. And if you're more of an execution, so more of an construction company, you've got to make sure from execution right through to punch lists and handover and handoff of operations and maintenance manuals, that everything flows as quickly and easily and as seamlessly as possible. So that's really what this Unifier tool has been designed to do. Okay, it's highly configurable. So the things we're going to show you are out of the box, but if it doesn't match exactly how you want the software to work, you can change those things. Okay, it's very, very configurable. And what we're going to show you are just some examples of business processes. Again, you don't have to only live with what we're showing you because the tool allows you to expand on the processes. And it allows for process improvements. That's the really hugely important thing. If you feel that you can analyze how a project did, maybe our RFI turnaround is supposed to be 3 days. Maybe it was 8 days 10 days on a project. Why did that occur? Okay, so you can analyze these sorts of things. Well, maybe most of the RFIs were in the engineering and in mechanical and electrical scope, and those were really slow. And maybe the civil responses were quick. Okay, so it lets you dig in to analyze and improve your business processes. So there's tremendous benefits for a tool like this. Now, some of you may have used Oracle's, or it was really Primavera's original tool called Expedition or Contract Management. This tool is that, but on an even better scale, okay? Because they added some things that we couldn't quite do very easily in contract management. And I'm going to show you the corporate roll-up concept, okay? And what's called a sort of an EPS node if you use P6, sort of the layered mode. And I'm going to show you some of that. So this tool is much more configurable than the older tools. Now, Oracle has two tools in their toolkit. One is called AConnex, and one is called Unifier, which is the one we're showing today. And the difference, I would say, in a nutshell, is that AConnex was designed as a tool that you deploy on one project for a wide team, whereas Unifier is your corporate tool, so you can build your business processes and it can be deployed on all your projects. That's really the way I would define the two tools as, out of in a nutshell, what the differences are. And I think if you are needing good, hugely strong cost control, or a Unifier has a little bit better toolkit there. Okay, so that's really my perception on the two different tools. Okay, so I'm going to get into showing you how it works because we got a lot of stuff to show. So I'm going to start right into sharing. Okay, so I'm going to screen share and I'm going to start showing Unifier. Do you see it?
Yes? Still seeing the slide right now.
Really? Okay, I did it wrong, I guess. Just a second. Screen share. Entire screen. Any difference?
Nope, still the slide. You might be sharing the wrong screen.
I'm sure I'm not. Okay. Entire screen. Yep. Oh, this is going to be hard. I guess I'll flip to this screen. You see it?
No difference yet.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, guys. I did not think I was going to have a problem with screen sharing at all. Let me try it. I don't know what. You know what? I will end sharing the slide deck. That might be what I need to do. Amy usually has to do all of it, so I'm not usually doing any of this. What do you think, Amy? Do I have it now?
Just seeing our profile pictures at the moment.
Okay, why won't it show my screen? Okay, I'm going to try one more time, and if it doesn't work, you're going to have to take it over. Still not doing it?
Nope, not seeing anything.
Okay. Wow. Okay, I don't know. I'm definitely screen sharing. Let me just see if I can just show Unifier, see if that helps. Did that help?
No, still not seeing anything.
Okay. Okay, you're going to have to do it, Amy, because I don't know. Oh, your dog too. You're going to have to do it. It's not picking my monitor up right now, and I don't know why.
All right, sounds good. I think you'll need to give me sharing permissions.
Yes, I will do that. Sorry, I don't know why it's not picking up my monitor.
No worries.
Okay, so we wanted to first explain that we've got different levels in Unifier. So we have both the company workspace. I hand it over to you. Are you getting it?
Yes, just sharing now.
Okay, perfect. Just want to make sure that's working because my screen sharing was not working.
All right, can you see Unifier?
Yeah, it's coming. Perfect.
Okay,
We've got it now.
perfect.
Yeah, so we first and foremost have different levels. Okay, so we have let's start at the company for a second. So what Amy is showing you is we've got the company level, and then we have it could be a division, so a business unit level, if you wish. Okay, these are called shells. And then we have project levels. So that's what you're seeing there. And each person can have access to different portions of all that data, but all the data is sitting in one master database. And then some of the things that you do can be up at the company level, and some of the things will be strictly in the project level. So you can mix and match, and the data can talk to each other at those different levels. So for example, corporately, you likely have a cost sheet as she's showing you there, and you probably at minimum have a vendor list. Now the vendor list, if you're in a big company, it may not be at the corporate level, it may be more at a business unit level. So let's say you're an international company, you don't necessarily want to share your vendor list from North America with Europe, for example. Okay, so you could have subsets, but the vendor is a good example of something that might be shared across all the projects. So she's going to just touch on let's go to the cost worksheet, just so we can, at the company level, yeah. And just give you an idea of what this is bringing us. So this is, if I'm running the whole company and I want to see each project, what is going on with each project, this is where I would do that. Okay, so this is showing us what did we have for each project at a summary level. So the budgets, where we at on any commitments, so contracts and purchase orders that we've let out, and where are we at on paying, actuals, commitments, and payments. So this gives you the whole overview of all the projects. So we're going to go into one project and go into the detail, and that's that SAGD one, which has all the data in it. You can tell it's the big one with all the money. So this gives us the total for the corporate, and now we're into the detail of a project. Now, the way that everything works is similar to project management, the previous tools, where this is a repository of all the data that you're doing down in the details. Okay, so budgets come from, if you're a contractor, a budget comes from your agreement with the owner. Commitments are going to be things you're spending money on, so things you're buying for the project, so materials, equipment, and sub-trades. Okay, so your perspective will be different than the owner's perspective, but the tool works regardless of that. So this is going to be fed from all the detailed documents that Amy's going to start to show you. So this is not a typing in form, although you can allow some typing in if need be. Okay, sometimes you start a project midway through and you're not necessarily going to put all the history. So, but the idea here is we're going to do our day-to-day work. We're going to issue requests for quotes. We're going to issue contracts. We can do bidding inside the software. We're going to do day-to-day daily diaries. And all of that is going to feed the cost sheet as you work. Okay. So the layering is really very strong in the software, as is the configurability. Okay, so the column set that Amy's showing you here can be changed. Okay, so we can have templates, so we do them always the same on each project, but you can also diverge from templates if you need to. Okay, So if an owner is asking you for certain fields that you don't normally have on the screen, you can make that specific for a given project. All right. So you have that templating concept and the configurability concept. So we normally start with budgets. Okay. So we usually start with, getting money to run the project before we start spending it. And Unifier allows you to put in fail safes, okay, so that I can't issue more contracts than I have budget. So there are those sorts of fail safes and limits and controls inside of the way the software works as well. Okay, so that's an added bonus. We didn't have those things in contract management. We didn't have those automatic jam ups. I'm not allowed to issue a contract if I don't have the budget. Okay. Now, if you know that doesn't always work on your projects just by the nature how you run it, you can also modify those. Okay, so you don't have to have those turned on. Okay, so let's go back to the company workspace. We kind of just wanted to show you that layering concept. And let's go to the home for a second, because we want to show them that. Let's go to the home, the actual home button. Yeah. Because the whole idea here with the software is, we've got a lot of stuff going on. You might be working on 2-3 projects at a given time. You want to make sure you're not forgetting to do any of your tasks. Okay, so the tool is very strong on making sure you've got stuff you've got to get done. So right when I log in, I've got my own dashboard that I can be seeing, and I can see that I've got stuff to do. Okay, so Amy has my active tasks. Those are things she's got to get done. They could be in any project. You can see on the side, on the left side, which is your navigation, that she's got tasks, she's got drafts, she's got mailbox. So the tool is designed to make sure you don't let anything fall through the cracks, with deadlines and due dates throughout the system. Okay. So that is the key thing to drive the turnover and good best practice on the way you're handling paperwork. And then, of course, the rigor of what does each document need to have to make sure we're documenting well. So that'll be inside the way that we build each of the business processes. So we're just going to show you a user's perspective of these things, where there's a whole administration layer to this that not everyone, of course, would do in the company, but you do. If you go in this direction with Unifier, you do want to make sure that you have 2 or 3 key people that are being trained to run the system and understand how it works. There are lots of bits and pieces to it, because we build the business processes, workflows, and the workflows can be quite elaborate. So Amy will show you in detail the outputs. She's not going to show you how to build them, but she's going to show you the result of the development from the admin side. Okay, I'll let you take it all over, Amy.
All right, sounds good. So I'm just going to start here with activity sheets in Unifier. The reason I wanted to start here is just to show how Unifier can be integrated with P6. So right here in one of our Unifier projects, you can see a list of our activity sheets. And this one here, you can see, was created via a P6 Unifier integration. So if I click into here, you can actually see all of the activities and the milestones from our project in P6 that have been imported into Unifier. So you can see all of the information here, such as activity ID, activity name, WBS information, activity type, and status. You've also got any of your important dates, cost information, and you can actually even attach these guys to cost codes, which will send them to that cost sheet that Nicole was showing earlier. So this is a bit of a flat view here, which might look a little weird to people who are used to P6. But with anything in Unifier, you can actually configure the view, and you can actually group it by WBS, making it look a little bit more like home. And you can also view a Gantt chart here, similar to P6, which kind of shows you all of your activities, how they're laid out, and how long each one is supposed to last. So you can decide to configure these sheets to have them send automatically. So you can set it to get data or send data on specific frequencies, such as daily to quarterly time periods. And then you can also set a start and end date if you would like to only sync data for a specific period of time. So once this data is imported into an activity sheet in Unifier, you can actually see the activity information in a variety of different places, such as the cost sheet that we were just looking at. Another place you can see these activity sheets is in the cash flow, which we'll take a look at near the end of the presentation, time permitting. And now I'm going to move into some of the more kind of big modules that we have here, starting with contracts under our commitment section here. So here you can see a list of all of the contracts that we have attached to this project. You can see information such as their status and the vendor they're attached to. And again, these views are configurable, so you can decide which information is being shown in these columns here. So we're going to take a look at our drill services well 1 contract here. So this is a contract that we've made with our CKK drilling vendor to drill a well. So if we click into our line items here, you can actually see a breakdown of the costs that we're committing to with this contract. You can see precise details for each one on the right panel here, such as your item quantity, how you're measuring the units, item unit cost, and total amount, among other things. And then you'll also see that each of these line items are attached to a cost code. So this is how they get pulled into that cost worksheet that we were looking at earlier. These line items each have an amount assigned to them, and you can see the total amount at the bottom here. And once work starts on this contract, you'll likely have a collection of change orders to kind of change around your cost information. So you can actually view these directly from within your contract by clicking on this tab here. And then if you want to look at any of them in closer detail, you can actually double click to navigate directly to them, making it pretty easy to navigate between connected records here. And then over time, you'll likely also have payment applications attached to the contract, which you can also access from this tab here. And we'll be looking a little bit closer at those in a moment. So if we go back to our contract main body, this is a very common view for records in Unifier. You'll notice it looks a little bit similar to the vendors window we looked at briefly. So on the left, you can see details such as the title, the vendor it's attached to, and the initial amount that we've set for it. And we can actually scroll down to see a financial summary here. So this is just a neat, handy little summary to kind of show your original commitment, any change orders that you have attached to the contract, and how those have affected your original commitment. So you can see we've approved about $60,000 in change orders here, which has caused the commitment to be revised to about $845,000 rather than the original $785,000 we initially committed to. And these costs that we have here are in USD, but you can actually choose which currencies to use for each contract that you're using. So you can set that down here. And then you can also have a general project currency as well as a base currency for the company. So again, very configurable. Along the right here, you'll see we have a list of attachments that have been added to this contract. We'll be taking a closer look at the attachments a little bit later. And then you can also see a list of tabs along here, just displaying more information for your contract. One of the interesting tabs I wanted to look at here is this audit log. So Unifier does a very good job of keeping track of what is done per records and by who. So here you can actually see pretty much all the fields that have been modified, when they've been modified, and how they were modified. So for example, if we look at this one here, you can see that due to approving a payment application on July 8th, the old value of our percentage complete field has been changed from 11.83% to about 14% here. And these are all automatic ones that have been done. That's why they're saying integration here. And anything that's been done automatically, you can see the username will be under company administration. But any manual changes done by users, it'll show the exact user who did it. For example, you can see here, I attached a linked record here on June 19th at 10:30 a.m. So it's just a really great way to kind of keep track of everything and make sure that nothing kind of gets lost in the noise. Another interesting tab here is this reference records tab. So this one will actually show every record that has referenced this contract within this project. So you can see that there have been several change orders attached to this contract, as well as some change requests, payment applications, punch lists, etc. And there's actually even a handy little graphic you can look at here. Sometimes it does take a little bit to load, which shows you a little web of all of the attached records to this contract. And if you want to look at any of them in closer detail, you can just double click them and then it will open it right up in your window here, which again is a very good way to keep track of everything that is attached. Another tab that we have is our workflow progress tab here. So workflows, like everything, almost everything in Unifier, are configurable. So they can have many different steps depending on what you need for each business process. So workflows are how we move certain business processes through the review and approval processes and then send them back and forth between relevant users. So this tab here is showing the steps that this contract has gone through so far. This one has only gone through one step. It went from creation straight through to approve without review, but we'll be looking at a more interesting one in a little bit. So if we click on this view graphic button here, you can see how we have set up the workflow that we're using for contracts. So this one is a relatively simple workflow. After creation, you can approve a business process without review, as this one was, or you can send it for additional review. Once you send it to review, you can send it for additional review as many times as needed before sending it to the end stage, either by approving, rejecting, or canceling the business process in question. We'll be looking at a more complicated workflow in a little bit, but this is just a nice, easy kind of example of how you can set up your workflows. So now I thought we'd take a quick look at attachments. Unifier has recently had a pretty big update in how attachments work, and it allows really nice markup. So I thought we'd just take a quick look at that. So attachments can be added to just about any business process in Unifier with a whole host of file types supported. So if I wanted to view an attachment that was sent to me in a submittal, for example, as in this one, I can go into my submittal document details, and here you can see that a DWG file was sent to me for review. So if I open this guy up, I can see it directly in Unifier's attachment viewer, and I can decide to mark it up. So markups are added as comments. So if I just click in here, you'll see that a little drop down appears. So you have a variety of markup options here. So we're just going to go through each of them real quick. So first off, you have annotation. So this allows you to add text and to freehand draw. So each of these options are, again, very customizable. So you can see this one here is blue text with a yellow background, but I can decide on a different font. I can decide on different font sizes. I have it set to scale dynamically right now. I can also change the color, the fill of the box, for example, if I want no fill. And then when I go in to use it, you'll see that my changes have been saved. And then along the bottom here, you can see there's 4 different kind of quick options. So you can customize these, and then you can click between them for quickly used styles. And then you do have the same options with the highlights and with the freehand drawing here. And again, all very customizable. Next up, we have shapes. So this one also allows for freehand drawing and highlighting, but it mainly focuses on pre-made shapes that you can add to your attachment. So for example, you can add lines, you can add arrows. This one's a very big one, but you can also, again, customize all of them. And one of my personal favorites is a little cloud you can add. And it, again, just shows a very nice display of options that you can use. And then finally, we have stamps that you can insert. So there's a list of standard common stamps that you can use, such as approved, expired, final, sign here, etc. So you can add these in, adjust the size, and then send them off. You can also create custom stamps. So I just have a little test stamp I created here a while ago. You can see that I added my name and when it was created. And you can create as many of these as you need for often used stamps. So once you have these markups all added, you're just going to finish up your comments. I'm going to say send for review and post it. So then once you have it posted, anytime you click on your comment, you'll be able to see the markups that you've added. Once you send this submittal through the workflow, then anyone will be able to see this comment. Speaking of workflows, let's take a look at that more complicated workflow that I mentioned earlier. So to do that, we're going to look at RFIs, or requests for information. So RFIs, as you probably all know, are a very common aspect of most projects. So you can see here we have a list of RFIs. Most of them are open. We do have some closed as well. If we open up our water table area 5 tab here, you can see all of the information again on the left here. We have our attached contract that this RFI is for. And if you scroll a little bit down, you can also see there's room for a question. This one's about unforeseen water sloughing, a proposed solution, in this case, extra casing to keep drilling. And then when you send it off, the person you send it to will be able to put in an answer, sign their answer, and then send it back. There's also proposed cost and schedule information in here. So you can see we expect about 50,000 extra in cost for extra night shift. And then we don't have any schedule impact put here, but we did put a little comment saying it may take a bit longer depending on how long this high water area will last. So if we wanted to send this one through a workflow, let's look at our workflow progress here. And you can see this one went from creation to A&E review, and it was sent to a group of people here for A&E review. I was the first one to click on it, so you'll see that I have it in progress and it has been locked for the other people in the group, just so that I can work on it without us kind of bumping into each other. And then if we look at our workflow graphic here, you'll see that this one is actually quite a bit more complicated than the one that we were looking at earlier. So this is just an example of how configurable these workflows are. So for this one, you can go from the creation step and submit it for a response, sending it to A&E review. And from here, you do have a whole host of different options. So you can send it to technical review. You can send it for additional review for the consultant clarification step. You can send it for contractor clarification down here, and they can respond with comments or cancel it on their end. And then you can also submit it as an answer. And then from there, you have, again, a whole host of different options. Sending to a final response, you can close and CC the contractor, etc. So again, you can configure these how you need them and how works the best for your company. So once an RFI is sent through the workflow, you may need to create a change order. So let's take a look at what that would look like. So we're going to go into change management here and our change order module. So you can see our list of change orders here. And we're going to take a look at this one for installed drilling mat. So as with the other records we've looked at, you can see the basic information for the change order on the left side here. And you can see that this change order is attached to that contract we were looking at earlier, the drill services well 1. And you can see, actually, if you scroll down here, that Unifier will take your vendor information from your contract and autofill it in for you here. So you don't actually have to worry about putting in all this information again and again, which is pretty nice. So if we take a look at the line items for the change order, you can see that we have a line item here for drilling. This one is set for 150,000. And then we have another line item down here for about 24,000. Totaling for 174,000 down here. So remember these, we're going to be using these in a little bit for our payment application. But if we go back to our change order, you can see we also do have a financial summary here, similar to the one in the contract we were looking at. So you can see we have our original commitment, any previously approved change orders, the current request, and then how that will revise the contract amount for drill services well 1. So we're going to approve this change order and send it to the end of the change order workflow, just so we can kind of see how that works. So we're going to approve without review here and click send. And now when we look at this guy here, you'll see that its status is set to approved. So now that it's approved, we'll be able to see its impact in a number of different places in Unifier. First off, this will update that cost worksheet that Nicole was showing, as well as the financial information of the drill services well 1 contract. Another place that this will reflect in is payment applications, which we will take a look at now. So if I go into the actual section and payment applications here, let's just look at the last payment application we set through first. So this one, you can see it is attached to the drill services well 1 commitment, the one that we've been looking at throughout this presentation. So if we click into our line items here, you can see that these line items have been auto-created off of the contract that we attached. It is also auto-filled in the work completed in our last payment application that we sent through. And you can also see that it has the amount needed to finish the contracted work filled in here. And then this payment application has 9 line items. So you'll notice that the drilling well line item here has a scheduled value of $260,000. So this reflects the payment period from before we approved our change order. So if we want to see our change order reflected here, we would need to make a new payment application spanning a pay period that includes the effective date of the change order. So let's go and do that. All right, so first we need to attach our drill services well 1, our trusty contract there. And so the change order we created had an effective date of April 20th. So if we create our next payment application for the period of April 15th and ending May 15th, and then we go into our line items here, you'll see that drilling well, the scheduled value has actually gone up because of that change order that we added. And then you'll see that there are 2 extra line items added here. Number 10 has been added because of a change order that was approved earlier this week. And then the 11th one is that extra line item that we had in the change order that we just approved now. So the $24,000 one. So there is also a schedule of values for payment applications. If we look at it over here. So this also gets automatically filled in with cost information upon approval of a contract. So it keeps track of everything in an easily viewed spreadsheet. You can also see the changes that we made with our change order here. So if we look at our drilling well section here, you can see that the number has been updated because of our change order. And we do have our new 10 and 11 line items here as well. So this is a strength of Unifier. Everything is connected, so you don't end up having a bunch of documents and payments floating all over the place and making it easy to miss associated costs and related documents. With Unifier, it all connects, making it very easy to keep track. All right, so we still have a little bit of time here, so I thought we'd take a quick look at cash flows. So cash flows are graphs plotting the costs involved with your project, and they can be created for individual projects or on a company level. So you can choose your detail level, ranging from project and shell level to CBS level, and even business process level. So we do have a couple of examples here. Let's take a quick look at our project shell cash flow level. So if we open up the properties here, you can see we have a couple different types of curves, which can be defined at the company workspace level. So if I click into this forecast curve, for example, you can see we have a cost drop down here, which is where you'll choose the data that this curve will be pulling from. So these data sources are all columns from the project cost sheet. You'll also see a schedule section, which is where that P6 integrated activity sheet comes in again. So we can actually use the dates from our activity sheets for the schedule here. And you can see we can choose the exact dates that we use from that schedule. So in this case, we're using planned start and planned finish. And then we have a distribution option here. So this is where you decide on how the system is going to distribute the data. So you can do this manually or using distribution profiles, which are defined in the company workspace. So we're actually going to be using S-curves for this one here. And then last, you can also set the variance. This is where you assign inflow or outflow to your curves. So in this cash flow, we've assigned inflow as the forecast, and we have outflow as our actuals. So you'll see here that not all curves have the same properties. Actuals has very limited options compared to the forecast that we were just looking at, but most of them are pretty similar. So now let's look at what this actual flow looks like. So here you can see the curves shown displayed depending on the properties that we just looked at. So this data might look a little odd, especially the actuals here, as this is our demo database. But you can see the actuals curve, the forecast, the baseline, and the estimate here. And there are also many different ways to view your cash flows. So we're looking at cumulative right now, but you can also look incremental over a period of time. You can look at the variance, which shows the variance between your inflow and outflow values. You can see your current variance, which shows the differences between your current cost inflow and outflows. Variance at completion, which, as you may guess, shows the difference between your cost inflow and outflow at completion. And a trend analysis, which again does look a little bit odd with our demo database information here. You can also take snapshots of your cash flow. You can schedule them or take them manually. So all of these ones created by the system here are ones that we've scheduled to take once a month. So you can see this one was taken June 20th, May 20th, April 20th, etc. And then you can also take them manually, which you can see I took a couple down here. So this is a really good way to kind of see how your cash flow changes over time, especially if you're using set date periods. And this snapshot option is also available for your cost sheet. So you can kind of see how your numbers change over time there as well, which is, again, very helpful. And then the last thing I wanted to show you guys today is the dashboards in Unifier. So here you'll see that we have a summary dashboard of this project in Unifier. So you can see I have 37 active tasks. You can see my notifications here, so any in progress and completed records. Any mail that I might have, right now I have 0, but if I did have mail, it would show here. You can also see just general information about the project. So our cost sheet, we have open and proposed risks, as well as the cost exposure associated with them. We have a list of our contracts for this project here, as well as any open tasks by person. So we have our total count and our overdue count. And we can also look at kind of more targeted dashboards. So for example, we do have a cost controls dashboard here. So you can see contracts by status, any forecasted change requests by status and reason, risks by category, change orders, etc. We also have a field management dashboard here. This is probably one of the more interesting ones. It shows your RFIs by priority and type, status count, incidents by type. You can see field observations, your RFI aging, turnaround time, submittals by status, and more information like that. And just as an aside, these are all, again, very configurable, so you can really customize these dashboards the way you need them to look. We can also see a dashboard with a summary of our cost sheets. So this one here shows our cost sheets using each of our cost codes, as well as how much is associated with each of these cost codes and in what section. So we have our budgets, commitments paid, forecasts, and potential changes. And you can get rid of these or add these as needed. And there are also good drill down options. So if you click into any of these, it'll show you exactly where this information is coming from if you want to take a closer look. We also have an open and overdue tasks section here. So this one just shows your open tasks by user and open tasks by business process, and then it shows in the total count or the overdue count. And again, there are really good drill down options here. If I wanted to see exactly which of my open tasks are overdue, I can click on them here, and then I can see them laid out by business process here. And let's say I want to see which incident management I need to look at here. I can just open that up, and then I can see all of my open incident management business processes that are overdue. And I think that was all I wanted to show you here today. Thank you so much for listening, and I'm going to hand the presentation back to Nicole now.
Before you do that, let's just wrap back by going to the cost worksheet. Okay, so Amy went right into the commitment side. We skipped the budget side, but it's very much the same as doing a contract. So in terms of the dynamics of how you do it, it's very much the same. Now, so she created a change order on a commitment. So if she scrolls over, she's in the budget side, but commitments are just, this is a big spreadsheet, if you will. So there should be commitments. Oops, sorry, going too fast for me. Just a second, and I can't see on that monitor.
Yes, here we are.
So there, that's better. Yeah, so the change order that she did is going to be inside of there. So you see these are hyperlinks. So if she clicks into that, you're going to see all the change order, any change order that's contributing to this cost bucket in the approved change order column. Now, if she hadn't approved that change order, it would still be sitting in pending. So that way you can sort of see where you're at, not only with what's been signed, but also what might still be coming. So this is all happening automatically. And the same would hold true for your contracts, your purchase orders. They'll automatically flow into the cost sheet. So the cost sheet's maintained all the time, just by the nature of doing your day-to-day work, which is identifying the cost distributions to the line items. Now, in here, she can also see the actuals, so the payment applications. You can see approved payment applications. So same thing, they're automatically flowing into the buckets appropriately when a payment application is approved. Again, if it's pending, so we're still reviewing it, it would sit in the pending column. All right, so all of that is going automatically into the sheet. So the cost control is very strong inside the tool. Now, again, let's just show the folks on the webinar here some of the document areas that we didn't have a chance to show you in detail, okay? Because there's just too many. So if you just widen up that navigation so they can read the titles better, that'll help. Okay. So we focused a lot on cost control. There's document control. So there's drawing controls, there's submittal controls. They work very similarly, but it's more document-based rather than money-based. So those are inside of there. You can control the folder structure that's taking place inside the software. That's what the top one is, the document concept. It's the folder structure that you want to set up. Okay, again, the general idea is you have a template of the different folder structure that you use corporately. But if you need to, you can modify that. You can add, you can remove. And these are drill downs. So if I want all my procurement documents to go into procurement, I can click into there, and there can be subfolders inside of there as well. Okay, so this is where the attachments will sit on the document she was showing you, but they'll also sit inside the document repository. Just below where she is on the left, there's a concept of unpublished documents as well. So you can control that. So if someone puts a submittal in and you need to review it before you share the submittals out, it will stay in unpublished. And then when you approve it, it will automatically become published if you've set up the module that way. And then other people can see that drawing or that spec section or a marked up manufacturer's cut or whatever the submittal is, okay? So these things are all happening automatically in the background. Okay, she showed you the payment apps, the cash flow, the cost worksheet. Let's keep going. I just want to touch on some of the different items. So we skipped over budget, but budget, as you can see, can have estimates prior to the budget. We have a funding concept, okay? So if you get projects that are funded from multiple sources, maybe joint ventures, maybe private and public partnerships and funding for your project, you can manage all that in here as well. Let's just keep going down, Amy. I just want them to see some of the different types of out-of-the-box modules. So for change orders, we jumped right into change order, but there might be requests, okay? If you're an owner, you might get a request from a contractor for a change. So you can start it as a request, and that request could eventually turn into a change order. So this allows us to split those two documents to track them differently. A change directive generally is used when there's a design change, so initiated by the engineering or architectural side. Okay, so these are just different ways of categorizing change orders and who's sort of kicking them off. And I'm not sure if she had a chance to show you, but in the change order area, you can also track the reason for change. So you can do different metrics and different graphics, statistical analysis on why changes are taking place, okay? So they could be field conditions, they could be architectural change, design change, there could be many reasons, cost cutting. You know, this is a pick list that can be controlled. It's not stuck just on what is in this pick list, okay? All right, I just want to make sure we didn't miss anything else that people might be interested in understanding more about.
Nicole, we had someone ask to see a purchase order.
Okay. So a PO, I don't know if we have one in this project, but we can take a look. It'll be under contracts, purchase order, just below. Yeah, it's going to look almost exactly the same as a contract. So any of the money type documents are going to look very similar, but they don't necessarily follow the same payment process. So you can see here in this example, the PO amendments is like a change order, but it's for a purchase order. And rather than a payment application, it's an invoice is how they've defined it. Okay, so purchase orders are generally for smaller things, like in this case, software. We're going to buy some software. It's going to be delivered, and it's a simpler process. There's not a % complete and a holdback going on. So that's how they've split the two different modules up. Okay, so very similarly. And then each one of these can have different printouts, different custom printouts with logos, etc. Okay, so any one of these documents can have PDF printouts configurable to your requirements. All right. Any other questions that I missed, Shannon?
That's the only one that I saw. One just came in now in the chat, Nicole.
Okay.
From Carlos here.
Okay. I'm interested in, yeah, I'll read it out so people can understand the question as well. Okay. I'm interested in digital solutions for comprehensive project delivery through an integrated project management framework. Though the integration of the front-end loading FEL methodology with the progressive development of building information modeling, the implementation of an advanced work package, and comprehensive digital capabilities. Okay, all right. So, okay, so a few things here. So in terms of integration elements, out of the box, Unifier can hook to Bluebeam. So that is one tool that it already is able to integrate to. that is related to drawings, drawing controls, and modeling. So that is the one tool it's already got interfaced to. Now, in terms of work packaging, the tool, as it is out of the box, doesn't have work packages per se, but we've set that up for other clients where they identify the work packages, tie them to their model, and push and pull data. So that is something that is doable. It's just not something that's completely out of the box where it's already set up. But the Bluebeam integration component is out of the box. And then the idea there is that your modeling work and your markups are talking to one another. So we're documenting the markups in the tool. So Amy showed you the idea of the markups. That's inside of Unifier. So it's the simple marking up utility. But if you want to use Bluebeam, it's already going to work seamlessly between the two tools. Okay. So that, I don't know if I've answered your question, but that gives you some different ideas of how the tool can work. And then over the years, we as Emerald have done lots of different integrations into SAP, JD Edwards, and other accounting tools to make the software tools talk. So the idea usually is the construction team is using a platform like a Unifier, and then the accounting folks are using the ERP system. So you can get those two tools to talk with all pre-approvals being done in Unifier and then pushed into the accounting, okay? So that's generally how we've done that sort of solution, primarily related more to the costing in those situations. Now, we've also pushed RFIs and other type of documents into models. Sorry, the software tool is escaping me. It's in oil and gas. It's the big one in oil and gas, but the software tool is escaping me. So we have integrated documents to go into the equipment on the models and put the documents right on the equipment numbers. So RFIs was one of them, and change orders was the other that particular client had us do. Okay, so those things are also doable. So there's the key here. Hopefully you got a sense of how configurable the tool is with the different business processes. So we can have many different types of business processes. You can deploy different ones to different projects. So not all projects have to have exactly the same documentation. And Amy showed you the concept of the workflows and how the workflows are audited and give you that feedback as to where you're at. So those are really the key functions. And then within the business process, what you see on each screen can also be configured. So for example, we built a module for vendor pre-approvals, and the financial approvals versus the construction approval component go to different people. They see different fields completely on their different screens. So that idea is inside of this software tool. So that's why, you know, if you're looking at this tool, it's an awesome tool. It's highly functional, hugely configurable, but you do have to understand that you need to have some team members who will become champions and learn how to do all those configurations. Is there any cases that the document uploaded will be uploaded into a wrong folder? So shouldn't be, because the way that you upload documents, there's two different methods. We can upload them directly. So you see there's a create button. So Amy could actually create and put a document in to the folder itself. So in which case I'm putting it to a certain place. And then the other way is where she was earlier. She was in a contract and she had an attachment, I think it was. Maybe you have some in submittals. So when we set up the submittal folder, or submittal module, the business process, you set up where attachments go, okay? So it's defined in the way that you configure the business process. So really, no, there really is there's not really any opportunity for it to go in the wrong place, because the user's not picking the folder. The user's picking what kind of document they're creating. That document area that she showed you, that's not usually exposed to all the users. That's usually the admins and maybe document controllers if you're going to use it that way. But most of our clients don't use it that way. They use the business process. So it's a submittal, and we put the attachments in, and then it's all controlled and done correctly. Now, for the repository can be right inside the Unifier database, or you can also have it tie out to something like a SharePoint if that's your preferred method within your organization. So there's different ways for the documents to finally sit into a document control tool. Okay, I don't see any other questions right now. So how about if we just wrap up real quick? And
all right, I'll pass the screen back to you, Nicole.
Okay, and thanks for taking over. I don't know why I couldn't share my Unifier, so.
No worries.
Yeah, see, now I can't share the, oh, there it is, sorry. Now I'm blank. That's just me not seeing it. Okay, perfect. Well, we took a quick look. Of course, there's lots and lots of different modules inside the tool. As I mentioned, we can configure the enterprise. We can configure the data. So what fields do we want? Where do we want them? What kind of fields? We can configure the screens, and we can configure the workflows. The tool is very, very flexible. And what Oracle's tried to do is tried to do a lot of the heavy lifting and give you a good starting point out of the gate with various dashboards and various highly used business processes. But you can go further. You can expand that further to what you want if you need different things. Now, our recommendation is to start with what's there, and then let's see if there's some gaps, and then let's backfill the gaps. That way you can get your projects going faster. There are, of course, some things you're going to need to configure. The cost worksheet, obviously, what they have won't match exactly how you do your cost. But try to kick it off with minimal changes, and then after that, look at some of the changes needed. Okay, we went through questions, so I think we're good on that front. So feel free to reach out if you saw something that's interesting and you think it could be a good fit for your organization. Please feel to reach out to us.